Hello, everyone. You're very welcome to this short presentation on an introduction to ACCA P5 Advanced Performance Management. My name is Michael Barry, and I have been lecturing ACCA P5 for almost 25 years, both in Europe and also in Asia. I just want to point out to you what type of student we actually see in our ACCA P5 classrooms. But a lot of students you are seeing today are students that would have completed ACCA F5 and also have completed ACCA P3. Now, having completed F5 does give you a little bit of an advantage. Having said that, we do encounter quite a number of students who have been exempted from F5. And those students do just as well as students who have actually taken F5 at fundamental level. However, knowledge of P3 is definitely required, and you'll see links all over the syllabus to P3 business analysis. Now, you don't have to have passed P3 business analysis, but certainly you need to be aware of the content of that paper. So if you're comfortable with performance management and business strategy, I think ACCA P5 is the right choice for you. You'll also encounter students that are working in industry or have an ambition to actually work in performance management, sitting in P5 classrooms with us at the accountancy school. So just in case you haven't decided what option papers to select, I think that will give you an idea as to whether or not P5 is going to suit you. The key areas of the syllabus are actually broken down into 5 sections. Now, I'll go through these 5 sections in a little bit more detail in a few moments, but I want to explain that this is an integrated exam paper. We don't get standalone questions on areas or topics on this paper. It's an integrated paper, so most questions will require knowledge from different sections of the P5 syllabus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an idea of what's involved by taking a look at my course program sheet for the March 2018 sitting. And all 5 sections of the P5 syllabus are actually covered. And we do have to do that given the integrated nature of the paper. We kickstart the program with strategic management accounting, and we also revisit risk and uncertainty, which you will have covered in your previous studies. If not, don't worry, we start at the very, very beginning. You're into session 2 then, where you're looking at some of those models you encountered in your P3 studies, such as Porter's 5 forces model and pest analysis. Corporate failure is also example at P5 level, and we do need to familiarize ourselves with the various models for predicting corporate failure. You can see activity-based costing there. You would have encountered that at fundamental level, but we are looking at going beyond fundamental level, moving into the whole area of activity-based management, where you're looking at how activity-based costing can actually lead to improved business performance going forward. Information systems features big time on this exam paper, and there's always some sort of system requirement somewhere in a P5 paper. If it's not in the case study, you'll certainly find it in section B. You will realize on your P5 journey that non-financial performance indicators are just as important as financial performance indicators. And when you look at all the performance management models examined at this level, you will see that attention is paid to non-financial performance indicators as well as financial performance indicators. We as performance managers need to make sure that we have a balanced approach to assessing performance. We have three performance management models examined at P5 level. These are the balanced scorecard, Fitzgerald and Moon's building blocks, and the performance pyramid. And those three models come up in the exam quite frequently. I mean, there's always one model at least on most P5 papers. Divisional performance is an area that you would have encountered in your previous studies. Here you're looking at the whole area of responsibility accounting, profit centers, investment centers, revenue cost centers, and you're looking at the information needs of these various different types of responsibility units. Important measures there would be return on investment, residual income, and one of your examiner's favorites, of course, which is the economic value added. Value-based management will be new to most students coming into P5, and although it does incorporate some techniques that you would have encountered in your previous studies, like the net present value technique, the IRWAR technique, and so on. Budgeting, there's always a link to budgeting somewhere on a P5 exam paper. You will not be required to produce detailed variances at this level. If the examiner wants to touch on variances, he will calculate the variances himself, and he will want you obviously to incorporate his results into your responses. Developments in industry and management accounting, very, very important, particularly Japanese techniques like TQM, just-in-time systems. Transfer pricing would have been covered at fundamental level. It might have been a while since you covered transfer pricing, and we all recognize that at the accountancy school. So we do start from the very, very beginning on transfer pricing and gradually bring you up to the standard required for this exam. Environmental management accounting should not be new to you. You would have encountered basic techniques at fundamental level. Once again, if you're exempted from F5, there's no need to panic here, because all these techniques are covered again at P5. But at this level, you are introduced to new environmental management accounting techniques, and we do need to keep an eye on them because they frequently enter this exam paper. Human resource management and reward systems is always there or thereabouts in a P5 exam paper. We also need to have some idea as to how performance is actually evaluated in not-for-profit making organizations. So there are different ways in which we can assess performance, and we need to be familiar with the different ways, but at the same time, we need to make sure that our responses are brought to a level that is expected by the ACCA P5 exam team. Now, we do have an intensive revision program following the completion of the course, and you will have access to a lot of materials that you'll find very, very useful in your preparation. The course notes is essential reading, and these course notes were actually produced by myself and are specifically focused on the current P5 syllabus. So everything in the course notes is what you need to know in order to get you through this exam. Now, while I mentioned the exam there, it might be a good idea to talk to you about the exam paper, the format. So the P5 exam paper is broken down into two sections. Section A is a compulsory question. It's the case study question where 50 marks are actually awarded. And section B, you have 3 questions. You have to answer 2 of those 3 questions, and those questions carry 25 marks each. Now, to give you an idea as to what an exam paper looks like, what I've done is I have gone to our March-June 2017 hybrid paper, just to give you an idea as to what it actually looks like today. And question 1, the case study, what you're given is data information, and that's followed then by a number of requirements. You're looking at 5-6 requirements in the case study. Now, the case study will require a report, so it's very, very important that your response is structured in report format. Remember, we're trying to maximize on those professional marks. Now, what will be also given to you in the case study is appendices. And these appendices are very, very important, and you'll be expected to incorporate the data and information here into your responses. Now, you will notice that there are annotations everywhere, and this is what I actually do during revision, and it does make the revision program far more productive for students, and that's why you'll find also a lot of revision-only students on the program as well. Now, when you're annotating, it's very, very important that you're annotating with a view to using that point somewhere in your response. You do have a lot of students annotating, highlighting in questions, but they're not bringing half the stuff into their responses. So when you annotate, when you highlight something, you're banking it to actually use it at some stage in answering those requirements. Now, you'll notice that there is numerical data there in the appendix. Now, this is not a numerical based paper. You're looking at maybe up to 20% of the marks across section A, section B going on numerical work. Now, sometimes that can be a lot less. It varies from exam paper to exam paper. So it's heavily skewed towards discussion. Any detailed calculations are normally performed by the examiner and attached in the form of an appendix to the question. Now that's section A, and what we'll do now is we'll take a look at what section B questions actually look like. This is question 2 of the March-June 2017 hybrid, and you will notice here that concept principles that you would have encountered in your previous studies, things like target costing, Kaizen costing. Now, this is not a knowledge-based exam. Knowledge only gets you 30% of the marks. What you're doing with all these techniques is actually applying these techniques and also evaluating these techniques as well in the context of the data and information that's given to you in these scenarios. Section B questions will also come with appendices as well. And you can see here, question 2, some numerical data, non-financial indicators there. And what you're doing there is, once again, analyzing what's in the appendices and looking for opportunities to integrate that as well into your responses. I mean, if you're not integrating the contents of an appendix into your response, you're not going to score high. Question 3 on that hybrid paper was on systems. You were looking at a company introducing a new system, and students were required to examine how that new system is going to create a leaner business. Now, methodologies are also examined, and in the context of lean systems, of course, we have that famous methodology, the 5 S's, and students were required to use that methodology when they were approaching this particular question. What you also have, of course, is an appendix here as well, not as long as what we had in question 2, but very important performance indicator information here, once again, to be integrated into your response. So the more integration of data information into your responses, the better the chance you will do well in this paper. Question 3 is touches on responsibility accounting. Now, we would all come across ROI, residual income, in our previous studies. You hit that again coming into P5, but particular attention should be given to economic value added. That's one of your exam team's favorite indicators, so pay attention to EVA. Now, once again, you had an appendix there, and you know all the calculations are done for you there. Now, there was some numerical work here, but not extensive amount of calculations. So what you could have done there is use some numbers to elaborate more on your points when you were responding to the requirements up above. Now, there will be tables attached to your exam paper. These are the present value tables and annuity tables. Most exams do not require the use of those tables, although sometimes the examiner may pop in an NPV little calculation and get you to use some of those factors from the tables. So it will be attached to your exam paper. Don't automatically assume that you will be using those factors in the exam. Now, the revision program. Now, I'm working on the revision program for March 2018 at this point in time. But this is the program I use for the December 2017 examinations. And I annotate all the questions that are done during revision. And this makes the revision session far more productive. And not only that, it ensures that we get through quite a number of questions. But on my revision program is a list of questions that were actually done during class or during the course. And there's also a list of questions that I would be expecting students to actually do before they go into the exam. Now, in relation to articles to read, now my course notes summarizes all the articles that have appeared in recent years on P5. However, we do need to keep an eye on articles because very often the exam team do produce articles that are relevant to P5. So I will be keeping an eye on those articles as the course progresses. And, you know, so as I said, the revision program for March is work in progress. And those of you that are sitting the March exam with the accountancy school will have access to that revision program. Now, in relation to passing this exam, and I'd like to let you know that it's not a knowledge-based exam. In fact, you have all the knowledge before you actually come into P5. There's very little new knowledge picked up on your travels throughout the P5 course program. And in fact, a lot of the terminology and jargon that you're using in a P5 classroom is terminology and jargon you would have encountered in your previous studies. So very little new is actually learned at this level. So this idea of just reproducing what's in a textbook to respond to a requirement does not work at this level. Knowledge only accounts for 30% of the marks. To bring you up to pass mark, it's all about your ability to apply and evaluate. Application and evaluation make up 70% of the marks. So knowing the definition of a concept or a term or a technique, it'll get you some credit, but very, very small amount of credit. I mean, that's something that you know, it would be knowledge-based and something that you would have actually covered yourself at some stage in your previous studies. So it's all about application and evaluation. And what we mean by that is you're looking at a scenario there. When you're answering your requirements, you have to make sure that your response reflects the context of the scenario, that your response is taking advantage of the data and information that's in that scenario, as well as the data and information that's in the appendix. So you have to be able to integrate into the scenario. And if you're not integrating the scenario into your responses, you're not going to make it in this paper. So all this data and information that's given to you by the P5 exam team has a place somewhere in one of those requirements. Now, if you have any questions on ACCA P5, please feel free to get in touch with me. And if you go back to my introductory slide, you will see my email address there, michael.barry@accountancyschool.ie. So feel free to email any questions or queries you have about this paper P5. And I look forward to seeing you in P5 classrooms or online at theaccountancyschool.ie. Thank you very much.